welcome to another episode of Cyber Go-to-Market Girl Talk, the go-to podcast for females in cyber. As a reminder, my name's Elle and I head up the go-to-market practice here at Stanton House. I essentially work with pre-IPO security vendors and I help them scale their go-to-market teams across North America. I am very excited to be joined here today by another incredible guest. So I'm delighted to introduce to you Stevie Case, the Chief Revenue Officer of Vanta. Hi, Stevie.
Hi, so nice to see you.
It's good to see you and thank you for joining. And before I sort of pass over, I guess, for you to be able to make some introductions to yourself, this one feels like a really particularly exciting episode because Vanta is awesome, right? So you guys are a leading trust management platform that essentially helps simplify and centralize security for organizations. You guys are backed by some of the most highly regarded VC firms out there, including the likes of Sequoia Capital, CrowdStrike Ventures, Growth Equity at Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, and the list continues. And you've obviously come off the back as well of a hugely successful Series C funding round, bringing in an additional $150 million in July of this year, I believe. And what I love about you guys is that across your leadership team, I believe it's about 4 out of 6 is female. Notably, 3 of those positions are notoriously held by men, but yeah, we'll get into that later, but this one's really exciting. So thank you for joining. Please take the stage and give me a little bit of a background introduction to yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, Vanta is a unique company, and I'm extremely grateful to be a part of it. I have been with Vanta for about 2.5 years. And you're right, we just raised our Series C. We announced earlier this year that we had crossed the $100 million ARR threshold. So we're experiencing a huge amount of growth. So it's a very exciting time to be a Vantan. We are headquartered in San Francisco here in the Bay Area. So that's where I'm based, but we've got great global presence as well. So I run our go-to-market organization at Vanta. We've got folks all over the world, but offices in San Francisco, New York, Dublin, London, and Sydney. And we're a trust management platform. So what we do is help companies to prove trust as they're out there in the world trying to sell their software. That really started with our journey in automated compliance. So in the earliest of days, the first thing Vanta did was to help founders who were trying to get through the whole journey to become SOC 2 compliant, to figure out what that meant, understand the steps to become compliant, and then to successfully complete a SOC 2 audit. Now, there was huge demand for that. And it came from the fact that you've got founders out there that were trying to build these incredible, very technical products and using all these advanced mechanisms to build software. And our founder, Christina Cassiopo, she had been one of those folks. She was a product manager at Dropbox. She had been in this journey to build a great product. And she herself had encountered this process of requiring SOC 2 compliance and what that looked like. And frankly, was horrified that as she's there trying to build this complex, very advanced software in Silicon Valley, she was having to send screenshots and spreadsheets and all of these very old school things to a third-party auditor to prove to them that she was building her software in a secure and compliant manner. So that struck her as a huge opportunity to innovate. And she built this platform to help automate a lot of that work and to guide people who build software through that process. So we've grown a lot since then. We added frameworks. A lot of our customers now all over the world are seeking ISO 27001 compliance. They're thinking about things like GDPR and HIPAA. And we help them do that and ultimately unblock revenue faster through that process. So it's been a great ride. We've got a great crew. We're 600 strong globally at Vanta. We're a big old company now, and 8,500 customers as well all over the world. And now we do a lot more than just that automated compliance. We've grown the platform quite a bit. So it's been a great journey so far.
That is an awesome story to hear. And obviously, starting with Christina, allowing the fact that she had this innovation, strike, and she acted on it. We know, of course, that circa less than 1% of cybersecurity vendors either have female CEOs or female founders. It's just a fact that it's an underrepresented, minority in our space. And of course, less than 2.2% of VC funding actually goes into any security vendors that are female founded. So, to hear from where she started from, to hear where Vanta started, where you guys are at today, it's incredible. But yeah, I wanted to delve into your background as well a little bit more, because of course you've got a really interesting move into this space, having been in professional gaming. So you kind of came from one male-dominated industry into another one. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have quite a non-traditional background. So I once upon a time, many, many years ago, I was at university. I was studying to be a lawyer, actually. That was my original intent. And a video game came out that I absolutely fell in love with. At the time, that was Quake, the original Quake, a first-person shooter PC game. And I got really serious about playing. And through this wild series of events, I ended up having the opportunity to play multiplayer Quake against one of the guys that actually made the game, the designer of the game, and I won. So that ended up snowballing into a whole career change that I didn't really plan on, but I became the world's first female pro gamer. And I had sponsorships. I got to travel and play in tournaments all over the world. And it was an incredible experience. That led me down a path towards making games. I ended up working on the product side of gaming and actually doing level design and working as a producer in games. And that was really the unexpected detour that took me towards tech originally. So I spent several years in games and making them, producing them. And then there was this inflection point about almost 20 years ago now, where I had a software vendor, great guy, was selling me technology to use in the games that I was making. He approached me one day and said, I need a junior salesperson on my team. I think I could I think I could teach you how to sell. Like, would you want to work for me? And I had never contemplated what that might look like. I had never thought about sales. It was not even on my radar, but sounded interesting. And I decided to trust him and give it a go. And I've been on the revenue side of the house ever since. And that journey of being a salesperson and then being a sales leader took me from selling into video game companies, which is what I knew at the time, to over the years increasingly selling more and more into mainstream tech until I was just purely in mainstream tech. So then I spent a lot of years selling really complex platforms and products. So I've worked in the payments space and done global payments. I've worked in communications platforms. I spent several years at Twilio doing big, developer-centric communication platform sales. So I've always done technical sales, but I have never been in cybersecurity. I've never been anywhere near this space. So again, when this opportunity came knocking, a lot of what compelled me here was Christina. It was Christina, and it was this opportunity that she had identified in this incredible product she had built. She and I found a lot of commonality, I think, in the experiences, even though our backgrounds are very different. We're both from the Midwestern US. We have like a little bit similar kind of growing up stories and experiences in certain ways. And I found her to be so incredibly bright and such a first principles thinker. And that for me was very compelling. And, I was looking for a company with great product market fit, a really strong product that was ready to sort of catch fire and scale and, go to many more customers so I could help grow a team to really serve that need. But above all else, I was actually looking for an incredible CEO that was a good person and an incredibly intelligent person, somebody that I wanted to work for and with over the coming several years. And I found that in Christina, and that's how I ended up at Vanta.
I love the non-traditional route, and I might be slightly biased as someone who's taken a non-traditional route into the career that she's in now, which, although is recruitment, let's face it, there's an element of sales, right? So I think that it's great to be able to identify and show people that actually you can make a career change and you can leverage skill sets that you've learned elsewhere to make you be hugely successful. So, power to you and anyone else out there who makes those changes. But yeah, it leads quite nicely onto the next kind of discussion point, which was going to be around the impact of having a female CEO and founder. And was keen just to understand from your perspective what positive impact you and probably the rest of the business feels by having Christina kind of lead the charge.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the honest answer to that is it's a total luxury because frankly, we don't ever talk or think about it. And that in and of itself is like this incredible gift that it is a non-issue in the day-to-day of our work. Whereas, you pointed out earlier, I started my career in a very male industry, and my experience there, and even after I moved into mainstream tech, was that like my gender was often a topic or a factor in those days. It was something I thought about actively. It was something that was talked about. It was like, there were always these dynamics where it felt like that issue was present in the room. And the incredible luxury of not just working for a female CEO, but really working for like a team that is quite well gender balanced is that we don't have to think about it. It's very comfortable, and it's a very it's a very kind of honest and transparent even playing field kind of environment we work in. And I think that the secondary benefit of that is that we don't necessarily go out with the intention of, oh, let's go hire like an all-female leadership team. But I think what naturally manifests when you have a leadership team that looks like ours does is that you attract great talent, and you attract talent regardless of their gender or what they look like, and that has allowed us to land an incredibly strong leadership team that is really like just a great balance of folks from different backgrounds and folks who bring different perspectives, and puts us all in this great environment where we can really just be first principles thinkers and focus on the work and go at things the right way. So I always considered the fact that Christina is a female CEO as like a lovely fringe benefit, but certainly not at the core of like why I went to work for her. I went to work for her because she's incredibly smart. She has built a company that has like these unbelievably solid fundamentals underneath it. Like there's a reason the Goldman Sachs and the JPMs and the CrowdStrikes and the Sequoias Sequoia tripled down with us this year. And it's because her approach to building this company has been so rooted in incredible fundamentals, in efficiency, in a smart approach to fundraising, in a really thoughtful approach to how she's built the team. So it's like there's this really incredibly strong core built on transparency and thoughtfulness and just a true first principles approach to building a great company. And she comes from a VC background. She actually worked at Union Square Ventures back in the day. So like her approach to building this company has been incredibly low ego and just all about execution. So that is truly what drew me to her. And I consider us so lucky. We've now got a Chief Information Security Officer, our CISO, JD Hansen, has also joined us. So yeah, we're definitely three women in roles that are rarely helmed by women, especially in this vertical. But the true luxury is we don't have to think about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it's rare. It's rare that you hear of a company that has that many females occupying seats that are just, notably held by men. And I always like to, at some point in each episode, make a point of saying that these discussions are by no means to create a negative perception of men or anything of sorts. This is just purely trying to bring to light that there are some wonderful, very intelligent females out there. And it's unfortunate that they are underrepresented, and to help inspire others to feel as though that they have a safe space to come forward and try and go after what they want to go after. Because there's very valid success and stories there of other people doing it. We spoke briefly earlier about obviously your very non-traditional route into the role that you're in today. And I know that when we first met, something that is important to you is that approach to encouraging talent from diverse backgrounds and experiences, and how sometimes they make the strongest hires. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, especially in a revenue organization, of a non-traditional background. And I think a lot of that really comes down to what it is and what it means to sell software, to sell technology. At the heart of the work is curiosity. Like, to me, the best salespeople are the salespeople that drive an incredibly thoughtful and thorough discovery process. Because to sell somebody software successfully, you've got to understand their motivations. You've got to understand the pain and the issue at the heart of why they're even thinking about doing business with you. And to drive great discovery, you've got to be curious. You've got to be fundamentally like a curious human being who asks great questions and wants to know more about the person that you're talking to. So, really the people I find who do that best and who have that innate curiosity to drive a great discovery conversation are folks that have kind of explored outside the normal bounds in their own life. They've been curious enough to go out and, follow a different path than other people. And folks who do that normally have done that because they are comfortable asking questions. They're comfortable thinking outside the boundaries. And, that kind of curiosity in life, I find, does translate well to that discovery curiosity you need in a great salesperson. So there are certainly skills that people have to learn. And, there are playbooks out there that everybody should learn to become a great salesperson, like the MedPick Discovery Playbook, understanding how to attach value to the pain that you're trying to solve for a customer. There are skills that you have to learn, but people who have been entrepreneurial, followed different paths, and been creative, I find can pick that up very quickly. So I love to, like, for me, somebody who's been a bartender or a volunteer in a really interesting large organization, or has done something completely different and decided that now, like, this is their passion and they want to work with customers in this way. Those people really excite me, and I've had great success with a lot of folks like that who moved into sales and then were able to really like accelerate past others in the field who have been there for decades because they were comfortable questioning the standard way of doing things, and they really paved their own way.
Yeah. I also tend to find actually that folk that have a very non-traditional route in, who have explored other types of roles, and this isn't obviously a blanket one size fits all, but typically those individuals have characteristics that are not ones that you can teach. And whether that's, they have this burning desire, that fire in the belly, something that is just unexplainable as to why they need to be successful. That is something as well, I think, that produces some hugely talented people, because failure to them is not an option. It's just, you need to go after it. Yes, there'll be some setbacks, but it's like you're playing a game of chess, right? What's the next move? How do you sort through what any problems arise are, and just keeping it moving forward all the time. So yeah, I tend to find that when I speak with a lot of salespeople, as I do every day, it's those folk that I'm like, okay, you've got something that people can't teach you.
Yeah, that hunger is real. The hunger and the growth mindset and that like desire to change and learn is like, that is fundamentally all that it really takes. Because if you've got that growth mindset and a desire to really drive forward, all of the skills here are learnable. And it's always struck me in tech that there's this huge focus on boot camps and learning to code and like that as a pathway to whether that's like wealth creation or career development. And that no doubt is an amazing opportunity. But I have always viewed sales, tech sales, and the path into revenue as this massive opportunity for folks to enter tech that's very different from the learn to code path. And, people who have that drive and are coming, like, I grew up poor. Like, I think a lot of the non-traditional folks on my team come from that background. And like, there's something in that that's like, there's a hunger to succeed that you can't manufacture. And I think that that's a really valuable thing. And I love to see people who come from these like less represented communities, less represented backgrounds, come into tech sales as a path, because I do think it's truly accessible to anyone. And it's a huge opportunity that, you're in command of your own destiny in this industry in a lot of ways. And that's part of what I love about it.
No, I agree entirely. It's yeah, it's lovely to experience and be around people that take control of their own destiny, because it's certainly out there as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to dive in a little bit more, I guess, around then the relationship sort of, or the dynamic rather, maybe between yourself and obviously JD and Christina. So tell me a little bit about what that's like working with some amazing powerhouse females.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the relationships are so positive, and I find that like there's just great partnership there. And there is, I would say, and I think some of this comes from like this sort of uh I would consider myself a bit of an underdog. Maybe it doesn't appear that way at this point in my career, but like that is how I see myself. And I grew up in Kansas. I came from, not just a kind of a non-traditional background, but like I just did not come from this world of Silicon Valley and this kind of startup ecosystem. It's not even something I was aware of. And frankly, I don't think I had ever heard the title Chief Revenue Officer even 10 years ago. Like, so a lot of this is new to me. And I feel like I come from outside that. And, Christina comes from Ohio in the Midwest, and, really worked her way into this incredible career, and is really truly self-made in so many ways. And I think that there's a little bit of that sort of like underdog spirit and that work ethic that brings us together. And JD has a lot of similar in her background. She's really come up through some interesting challenges. She was spent time at Target in their security organization, and was there during Target had quite a large breach several years ago, and during that time really rose up in that organization as this incredible leader through a very difficult time. So I think the three of us are kind of unified by that spirit of just sort of like raising up through adversity and like the way we approach the work. And part of what initially drew me to Christina, and I see this in JD as well, is just very low ego, very high transparency, extremely ethical people. And I think that we don't talk about that explicitly a lot, but there is this real unifying force of like, we want to be a force for good in the world. We want to do things the right way. We want to do things in an ethical way. We want to, create an environment both for our employees and for our customers that is like positive and fair and ethical. And, like that spirit is really what unifies us. So I absolutely love working with both of them. Like it's such a joy. And I was so excited. I got to see JD in person yesterday, which is a rare thing because she lives across the country, so I don't get to see her face to face all that much. But it is a really special team, and I'm really grateful for the partnership with those two.
Yeah, it can definitely sound like there's almost a lot of love there between the three of you as well.
Yep.
And yeah, the point you made around, just the ethical approach, I think that sometimes, especially within sales, even within recruitment, there are unethical, I guess, ways of working that are naturally attached to those types of careers. And I just think that there's only so far that you get if that's the way that you operate, right? You need to really be. It sounds like it's obvious, but you need to be acting with good intent. Really be there to help people and actually be be operating in an ethical manner. Otherwise, it will come and bite you in the butt at some
Yeah,
point.
absolutely. And, I think we find ourselves really with the opportunity so often to like really root ourselves in what is right. And, often in our business that will come back to, okay, what is the right thing to do for our customer in this situation? Like, what is the most transparent way to approach this? What is the most customer friendly way to approach this? So, that's another kind of wrinkle in the like how we think about what is the right answer in difficult circumstances. Is like we want to do right by our customers. We want to build a business in a way that it is truly, founded on truth and accuracy, and that we are fundamentally built on trust. We're a trust management platform, and that word is at the heart of everything we do. It's not just like the product, a trust management platform. It is truly like the thing that we sell. It's the thing that our work is rooted in is trust. So, we deeply believe that that has to be at the center of the way we work, both with our team internally, how we handle, our employees, our day-to-day work, but it's at the center of everything we do with our customers and prospective customers as well. So, trust is core to the business, and it's a big part of what I really love about working for and with Christina is it's real.
Yeah.
It's not a marketing thing. It's a very real core of her and of the company that there is this real desire to build trust in a way that is consistent and reliable.
I think that leads really nicely into the next kind of question that I was going to ask is, for any other leaders or vendors that might be listening to this, how can they, I guess, take inspiration from how Vanta has grown, and what are the key kind of shares that you would give?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things in there. We've had such an interesting journey over the last few years, and it's been complex. Christina really came up with this idea of automated compliance. She was the first one to bring this kind of product to market. So she created this automated compliance space. There was a point at which a couple of years ago, we counted 44 copycat competitors who had gone off with the explicit purpose of like building a copy of Vanta, bringing it to market. In almost every case, their value prop to the market was, hey, we look just like Vanta, but we're much, much cheaper. Now, at the end of the day, we all know that the products are actually not the same, and that's marketing fluff. But that creates a really complex landscape in which to operate. And in a lot of ways, I am incredibly grateful for that because it forced us to do a couple of fundamental things that I think every company can benefit from doing. And one was to truly run our own race. So we had all this noise and all of these competitors focused on us and talking about us. It can be very tempting to start to respond and become very focused on them. So what we really did and what really clicked into place and helped us to win was to focus on running our own race and just simply getting really great at execution. So what we did is turned inward, focused on product innovation, speeding up our speed to market of bringing new features to market. So like we drove innovation faster. We just simply outpaced when it came to innovation. And then the second was we had to really become much more customer centric and really deeply tie ourselves to real value provided to our customers, and deeply understand like what is the value of the Vanta platform to a customer. How do they think about like the money they're spending? Why would they spend money with us? How can we make sure that there's a really strong ROI on that money spent with us? And then how do we make sure that we're continually increasing the value we return to customers over time? So fundamentally, at the heart of this is just get back to the basics, focus on execution, run your own race. There's always going to be noise and other people talking about what you're doing when you're succeeding. The best thing you can do is just do a really great job of those basics of ship great product and then articulate very clearly how that product delivers value to your customers and to your partners. And if you do that, it's hard to lose.
I think there is so much power in being able to keep the blinkers on. Whether you're going through times of adversity, things aren't quite going the way that you'd like, and also equally when you're being successful, it's really, really important, as you said, to just, run your own race, basically.
Yeah, there's also a reality under there that, like, and this was a big lesson for me over the last few years, is every business is subject to the laws of physics, as I like to say, which is like the math. It applies to everyone. So while you can kind of gloss over some realities with shiny marketing for a while, at the end of the day, it's your job to create a sustainable, healthy business that drives the right outcomes, that makes sense, and that you're delivering real value to your customers, but also to your shareholders and to everyone else. So building a healthy business that's built on truth and built on real value, that applies to everyone. And if you see a company that it looks like it doesn't apply to, that will change. It applies to everybody the same.
That's very true. Wise words. So we're coming towards the end then, and I guess what I'd love to wrap up with is finally, based on your experience in the field, what overarching advice or words of encouragement would you offer to any aspiring female entrepreneurs looking to kind of make their mark in the cybersecurity space?
Yeah, I mean, the piece of advice number one would be just don't hold back, don't be afraid. There is huge opportunity out here. There are a lot of folks that are really ready, willing, and eager to welcome you into this field. So, it does require to get out of your comfort zone. And, the reality in the space is there's not a playbook for a lot of these jobs. It's true of my job in the chief revenue officer role, something JD and I have talked about before. It's like, how do you learn to become a CISO? Like, a lot of these roles, like, we're all learning as we go. And a lot of the learning in this space involves talking to other people, understanding how they're operating, learning from others' best practices. And, that's both daunting, but it also means it's accessible to anyone. And that if you're willing to ask questions and gets outside of your comfort zone, that it's accessible to you too. So it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to be a newbie in the space. Just get comfortable being uncomfortable, ask those questions, put yourself out there, and you'll find there's a tremendous amount of opportunity.
Thank you, Stevie. I know that anyone who's listening to this is going to take a lot of inspiration, and I hope that they feel as though they can act upon the encouragement and advice that you've shared. So thank you again. I can't wait for people to be able to listen to this episode. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy. I've loved it. And I would love for folks to come find me on LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn, so would love to talk to folks there. And thanks so much for having me.